Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to be doing a special selection, which is where one of you tell me exactly what you want me to check out. And if you'd like to submit a special selection, you can hit up the Linktree link in the description and click the button that says Special Selection Submission. Today it comes at us from Jason. It says, another cheery song from your favorite birthday-themed band. Homecoming by Slice the Cake off of the Live at Home 2020 EP. The production is great, especially considering all the parts were recorded separately in home studios. So that's what we're going to check out today. We listened to some Slice the Cake last week before, with the Castle in the Sky duology. And yeah, I really enjoy their mix of sort of technical metal with strong melodic aspects. And it's kind of what I'm going to be looking forward to today. So let's dive into this. We got Homecoming from Slice the Cake.
Run, my child, run along. Mark the cross on your toe. Run to the west. Run, my child, run along and bury your bones. And there's no one here to save.
Yeah, really gorgeous counterpoint right here within a very calculated atmosphere.
Run from the wrongs you've done. Run to the end. Run, my child, run from them. Witness the end again. Oh.
Ooh.
And you thought you were
yeah, that bass work.
No one here felt any different, no. Did you think that you could save them? Well,
Lots of movement, but really strong production at ensuring everything has its place in the mix. I like how we've shifted to this black metal idea, but we haven't lost the melody from the previous section. Yeah, I love this mix back and forth too in the drumming pattern. We lighten it up a little bit. We do the fast notes on the bass kick rather than on the snare. Yeah, very cool. That bass lick is right there is real dirty. And I especially like the idea of the 8th note bass lick against the 16th note tremolo picking on the guitar. Sounds very clean. Yeah, I really appreciate the lack of a foundational element right here as far as a chord bed or anything like that. We have 3 melody lines going underneath spoken word. And of course, as I say that, the right guitar starts playing chords. Yes. Yes, that's all I need to say. That's the end of the video. See you guys next time. Oh man. So Slice the Cake. I remember the first time we listened to them. I don't know what song it was. It was early. It must have been first 6, 8 months maybe. And I remember saying that this is something along the lines of this is nothing of the sorts of the type of music I would want to listen to while slicing a cake. A little bit of a joke there, but yeah, I mean it encapsulated my ideas that this was just not music for me. Um, and having listened to both of the Castle in the Sky songs and now Homecoming, this is a band I need to get into. Why have I been sleeping on this? And it just goes to show how tastes can change over time. I mean, we went over this with what do we call it? Retrospective week, where I checked out songs that I was probably a little harsh on from earlier in doing this channel, and I reevaluated them with older ears, having been more attuned to some of the stuff they were doing, or just having a wider knowledge of music. And yeah, I definitely was seeing a lot of new things in them and appreciating them on a new level. 100%. This is what happens. The more you listen to music, especially as you explore past your horizons and you look at what else is out there, which has basically been my entire journey for the last 2 years, is exploring a lot of stuff that I had no idea was out there. And you come to appreciate things that maybe you didn't enjoy earlier in your life. And this is 100% one of those things. Slice the Cake was a band, and I remember it just being sort of like this black metal aspect where it was just real heavy. I wasn't digging the vocals or the speed, and I'm starting to see a lot of beauty within the aggression. And I'm not even sure aggression is the right word anymore. That's definitely what I would have called it years ago, but I don't know if I would call this an aggressive piece, despite the rapid fire attacks. Yeah, it's really cool how our tastes evolve and change over time. So let's dive into this. Let's see some of the stuff they're doing in here that's pretty interesting on a analytical level. As usual, this is exactly what I was expecting from them coming off of Castle in the Sky. We have super technical metal. This one kind of leaning a bit into tech death with some, with some, no, with a very heavy emphasis on melodic structure. So much so that there was one section in the middle I pointed out where it was all melody, and I absolutely enjoyed that. It's very refreshing from the standard idea of one guitar takes chords and creates a foundational work while the other guitar takes a melody line. Hearing two guitars doing counterpoint with each other and a bass providing a third melody with the drums laying down sort of a nice chill groove behind them. I'm down for that. That is a very classical thing to do, and it works so well. So yeah, everything I was expecting from them is present here. I do think it's interesting they went a little bit more into the black metal element than I remember from Castle in the Sky. And maybe that's because I might be remembering part two a little bit more, which was calmer in every aspect. But I don't remember the vocals being this blackened. But I think it works, especially with the drums doing what they're doing, uh, with those ridiculous blast beats and the 16th note double bass kicks in the chorus section. I mean, they kind of go hard into that blackened element, or maybe that just is tech death. I don't know. To me, it feels a little more blackened, but the genres are still kind of weird. But these are some elements that I don't remember hearing from them last time, but I think fit really well in as tools in their toolbox that they can pull out whenever they want. Not necessarily focusing on them and trying to be part of that genre, but just saying, hey, this is stuff that we can incorporate at times. And I think it works really well within their tool set. The vocals, oh my, let's just start at the beginning of the song. Let's go linearly from beginning to end, and I'm probably gonna break that decision in a couple of minutes when I jump around again. We start off with some beautiful, beautiful melody lines. I think it's interesting to start the song off with a harmonized guitar and vocal section. There is an ambient tone in the background. I don't remember what it was specifically. It was some sort of white noise, static kind of thing. I think it had a pitch, but its intention was not necessarily to be heard. It was kind of just blend into the back. Um, and we have this beautiful guitar and vocal line. And what's really interesting is they start out completely in sync with each other, and they slowly get out of sync. I think the vocals start off doing some embellishments that the guitar doesn't do. The last note at the end of the main or the first phrase at 4 or 8 bars, I don't remember. The last note, the vocalist hangs on to the second to last note just a little bit, so you hear the guitar note come in and then the vocal note comes down and matches. And so you start to hear some of these things get out of sync, and then from this point on, they slowly distance themselves more and more until they're playing two completely different things. And we take this idea of a single melody and slowly extrapolate it into counterpoint, and it is gorgeous. That bass comes in not too long after, and I think I mentioned it. Just, oh my God, such a good bass line, such a good bass tone. It is this nice, fat, wide bass sound with these really nice, like punctuated rhythmic elements. It's like 4/8 notes followed by a quarter note or something, and then rest, allowing the guitar melodies to fill in that extra space and for the bass to punctuate these the beginning of every bar. It is golly, it is good. But this is, I mean, I'm gonna gush over this the whole time. This is what I come to slice the cake for now, is their melody writing. It is just, it is something good. Journey to the West, I think, is what it's called. The one that, oh, Odyssey to the West. That's an album I'm gonna have to dig into real soon. I said I was gonna dig into it last time. I didn't get around to it, but it's definitely it's high up on my listen list now. Um, so yeah, we move from this idea though, and we go into the first blast beat section, and I really love the dichotomy here, where we get several bars of this blast beat. I think it's an alternating bass and hi hat, or sorry, snare and hi hat, or snare and bass kick. I don't remember, but it's just it keeps the intensity going. They're really fast hits, and we get a few bars of this before it kind of flips the script a little bit and puts those quick notes in the bass kick and kind of chills out a bit on the cymbals and snare, and we get kind of a chill downbeat element on those. And the song pretty much moves between these two ideas of really strong melody versus really strong rhythmic aspects, but not so much in an either or scenario, because even with the drums going full rhythmic not complexity, full rhythmic speed there in the chorus, and the vocals switching to the growl so that it's more rhythmic rather than melodic, the guitars are still playing melody lines. Um, but dang, where was I going with that? I don't remember. I guess we're gonna push on then. Yeah, I really love the drums flipping it back and forth so that it doesn't because both of those are this rapid fire attack of notes of sounds. But because the bass kicks have a different frequency, a different range, so to speak, than the snare and cymbals, you kind of get this inverse feeling where you have a lot of higher tones in the rapid attacks, and then you switch it off to the lower tones, and it has a different feel, a different vibe to it, even though it is still rhythmically identical. And I love how it does that. It keeps the song feeling fresh while also completely changing, at least for me, the atmosphere in those sections as we flip flop back and forth between them. It just works so well, and I think it accomplishes the same effect of having that constant stream of attacks without falling into what I've seen a lot of bands do in the past of utilizing the same instruments in the kit, which creates a very samey feel in the background. This brings in some dynamic work that allows the constant stream of attacks to A, either not get boring, or B, to not become just noise. It keeps that aggression, that element of aggression, that element of constant attack present, rather than allowing the mind to view it as noise and kind of push it into the background. So yeah, that's a really smart way to go about doing that. Um, Man, I really wish I remembered where I was going with that other one. Um, so yeah, we kind of go back and forth between these ideas, and then we enter into this section where I don't remember if the vocals were just talking or if that was something they did on the second half of the section, but we enter into the no foundation part, and I love this. I want to gush over this a little bit. Slice the Cake does a fantastic job with Counterpoint, and Counterpoint is just writing multiple melody lines that exist simultaneously. Um, there isn't really good counterpoint versus bad counterpoint. I don't like to use good and bad. I like to use more descriptive ideas, and this I would call clean counterpoint. And it's where all of the different melody lines kind of have their own placement in the mix or in the melodic passage, so that you don't really feel like they're stepping on each other's toes. They don't really seem to interfere with each other. Um, at best, they complement each other, and at worst, they just kind of stay out of each other's ways and exist simultaneously. There aren't really any moments where I find one melody line is actually diminished by the existence of the other. And they like I said, they kind of go on the cleaner side of this. Um, So we have both of these guitar lines doing their own melody stuff, and then the bass comes in as well. And the bass is also playing a melody line, but I don't think it's constant. The two guitars don't have very many rests at all. Well, extended rests. They might have rests between some shorter rests between notes, like maybe an eighth rest or a quarter rest, but we don't have any extended moments of resting. They're pretty much constantly playing. The bass at this time, I think, was replicating something it was doing at the beginning, where it would play short pockets of melody lines and then rest for a little bit and come back in with another pocket. Unlike the beginning, where it was doing something within a pattern, this one was more this one was more linear, with the melody writing existing with unique ideas throughout, rather than repeating a pattern. And we have this triad of melody lines that are just so intricately woven with each other, and it works so well. And then you have the drums just put in this chill beat behind it, and the vocals, they were doing some sort of spoken word whispered thing. Honestly, I wasn't paying attention to it. I was focused entirely on this counterpoint going on. It was just, yeah. Oh man, I don't think it's a coincidence that probably my most used onomatopoeia for the band Slice the Cake is going to be like everything they do is just so tasty. It's done so well. Now I want to slice the cake. Um Rhythmically, I don't remember this happening up until this point at the end, and I would wager to say this is maybe a bridge. I didn't really catch too much of a strong uh song structure that might replicate something more traditional, but I did pick up that the part where the drums went full on attack and then alternated between the snare and the bass kick kind of idea, the blast beats versus the double bass, that cropped up 3 times. So I'm wagering to call that the chorus. The clean vocals, I would say, is more of a verse idea. I think it does happen twice. But then we enter into this section that is isolated. It doesn't repeat at all. So I'm going to call it the bridge, even if I'm not entirely sure that's how it should be labeled in the song structure. But we have some sort of rapid attacks in the drums, 16th notes. I'm not sure if what instrument was 16th notes. It could have been an alternation of on the beat and off the beat eighth note kind of stuff. Or it could be a single 16th note blast beat or double bass, because I don't remember what it was. Then we had 16th notes in the guitar as well. And then we had eighth notes in the bass. And I really loved this sort of halving idea, because it allows the bass to participate in this speed. But the thing about the bass tone, at least for my ears, is that it just doesn't play too well with ridiculously fast attacks, because there is a lot of decay to bass tones. At least I think that's what it is. I haven't really quite figured out the correct terminology of why I don't think it works so well. But there just seems to be a lot of bleed over. You don't get that sharp attack on a bass guitar that you would get on an electric guitar. Although maybe that might be due to a picking technique too. I'm used to hearing finger pick basses, but maybe if you use like a guitar pick, you get that extra sharpness on the attack. I don't know. Anyways, getting back into this, it allows the bass to participate in this speed and have a nice melody line that goes in line with what the guitar is doing without actually playing the 16th notes that the guitar is doing, while also creating rhythmic layering here, because we have eighth notes against 16th notes. It's just really smart. And it helps solve a small problem with basses usually not being able to participate in some of this faster stuff. I've heard quite a few of this faster playing since starting this channel, where the bass kind of just plays quarter notes sometimes, even when the guitars are shredding. So I just really enjoy that. It allowed the bass to have a bit of a bass line that went along with what the guitars were doing, but also provided some contrast to the rhythmic elements. It works very well. And I think the last thing I want to touch on right here is the meter. There is well, the whole song I would say is in 4/4. If I were to rate this, I would write it all in 4/4. However, there are segments such as the intro and basically anything that isn't in blast beat mode having a strong triplet presence, which gives it a 6/8 feeling, despite if you counted it in 4/4, it matches with the tempo of the 4/4 in the blast beat section. So that's why I think the whole song's in 4/4. We just switch off the triplets here rather than switching time signatures. But I do think it's interesting how they really get the 6/8 to feel very natural against the 4/4. And I think a lot of that is just that strong downbeat presence of the 4/4. But it's just really cool to be listening and be like, hey, I'm kind of getting into this 6/8 swaying, the 1 2 3 4 5 6, 1 2 3 4 5 6. And you might have seen that a couple of times in my body movement, and where in some of the more blast beat sections I have sort of this standard head banging kind of movement as I'm following the 4/4. But when that triplet feel comes in, I kind of sway more to it because 6/8 just feels more fluid to me. It's not as strict. I don't know if everybody feels that, but to me 6/8 is a very fluid time signature. It's waltzy, and the waltz is very much a fluid dance. Uh, Maybe I'm not a dance expert. I might be wrong on that. I might be thinking of the wrong dance. But anyways, the waltz music feels waltzy. Yeah, of course, waltz music feels fluid to me. It has this nice ebb and flow to it, and it just feels smooth to me. Whereas 4/4 can feel very rigid, especially when you're introducing blast beats and constant attacks. That is going to feel hyper rigid. And once again, we have this element of contrast in here with this heavily rigid element versus more of a flowing concept with the meter. Just the whole song just works so well. I don't know what the words are about. I didn't pick up on any lyrics. I'm just so fascinating and fixated on their melody writing, and that bass tone. Golly, I don't know what the bassist is doing, but they're doing it right. Same goes for the engineer who mixed the bass. Just so much stuff going right here. Yeah, this band is a powerhouse. I'm gonna have to go back and check out whatever I listened to from them first and see what I think of it now, because something tells me I'm gonna love it, even though I didn't back then. Those are my thoughts on Slice the Cake's Homecoming, live from Techabilitation. There, that's the word. Live from Techabilitation 2020 at home. New song. That's the whole video title right there. Yeah, those are my thoughts. So this is where you guys come in. Now hit me up in the comments. Let me know if you enjoyed that or not. Anything that stuck out to you that maybe I didn't touch on, or anything that I did talk about you think I just didn't go as far in depth and you have things to say about it. Go ahead and put those things down in the comments, as well as any context you want to give me. Above the comment section, there's a description box, and in there is a link for Linktree. Take you to this fantastic menu. As I mentioned before, there is a special selection submission button. You click that and you can be another person who tells me what I need to be listening to. Above the description box, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three. I'll be back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC, with yet another psychedelic reaction, and we'll be doing another special selection. And until next time, remember to be critical but not cynical of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.